Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for February 21st, Monday. New start, new week, new beginning, the last full week in the month of February. Holy cow, this month just flew by. Interesting week, and at the ECSI VIP crew. I have to start by saying it was Black Saturday, as all you guys know. Um, a day that we just couldn't get out of our own way. We could never get a lead, and when we had a lead, we couldn't hold the lead, and it just crumbled from Brown on 0-5 Saturday. But Sunday, I woke up, I vented here on the Breakfast Bankroll to my co-partner, Mr. Scott Webb. Everyone here got the breakdown on a few games. The Butler did it in the kitchen with the candlestick. That was a Butler number. Providence rallies 19 down in the second half to win in overtime. They didn't cover, of course. And we talked about a couple other games. But for the VIPs, Sunday is our Sunday Fun Day Action Parlay Day. And unfortunately, we got sniped by the Yotes. We had a Northern Kentucky team +5, +180 on the money line. They went outright. We have a Vegas Golden Knights winner on the money line, winner on the puck line, and we just needed the Dallas Stars to come through and either win or win on the puck line for a parlay versus +850 and another parlay +540, and we get sniped there. But our day was at Daytona. Austin Cindric, the 500 winner at +1781 for us. We had him in the top 5 +240. We had Mr. Blaney top 5 +125. It was Roger Penske's birthday. Hats off to Veasan. You put out an amazing product on the race. Put 2 and 2 together, and we hit the checkered flag. It was a way to end the week, a way to put some smiles on the couple hundred faces of the ECSI VIP family. And what it really shows is this: every day is a new day. It's a new beginning. You take away yesterday. Yesterday was history. Tomorrow's a mystery. You keep it in the day. When you wake up in the morning and your feet hit the ground, you got an opportunity to make something happen. 24 hours, a gift. And that's what we did yesterday. Proud of our family. Really, really proud of our family, our team. We finished the weekend strong, shake off the cobwebs, and we're ready for today. So without further ado, let me bring in my co-host from the Palm Tree State himself, the one and only Mr. Scott E. Webb. Good morning, Scott.
Morning, Jeff. And what is this? This is Monday, so it's a day after the first NFL with nothing going on and no NBA really. I mean, we had the All-Star game that went over 370 million points or whatever the number was. But I will say this: the one, and I didn't watch it. I didn't watch one thing of it. Wasn't interested. I didn't watch the 3-point thing where a 7-foot guy won. I didn't watch the slam dunk competition where I guess they missed dunks. So I didn't watch any of that stuff. But I will say there was a I don't remember who it was, but there was a tweet that came out, and I might think about how I evaluate watching that game. He said, you know what? Of all the All-Star games, and we joked about how this was just a game that was a exhibition. He said, at the end of the game, say the last, 6 minutes, 5 minutes to go in the game, it might be one of the best games you ever watch, and it's because the players are playing. Then they're at a competitive point, and they're trying to actually, for the last 5 minutes, win the game, or win the MVP or whatever it is they're going to do. And he said, watching the last 5 minutes, or last 6 minutes of the NBA All-Star game is a pretty neat little thing. And maybe that's true. I don't know. I didn't watch any of the game and wasn't interested in any of the game, but I know that to be true. And theoretically, any NBA game, you watch the last 5 minutes and it's a good game.
There was all talks on Twitterville. I guess he had 6 threes at the half. Did Curry get the MVP or who got the MVP?
Curry did.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't watch a second of it. I go back, I'll date myself to 85, freshman in college. I was living in a house with about 10 other guys and 3-floor house, and we all gathered together for Michael Jordan versus Dominique in the dunk contest. Those were the days, Larry putting his finger up like this as he hits the final three to win that. And those were the days. I can't get involved. I don't get involved. The game has changed. I enjoyed back in the day with Larry and Magic. You dribble the ball up court. Everyone touched the ball at least once. You got into your set offense, and you go that way. It goes from Larry and Magic to Michael, to Kobe and Shaq and LeBron and Curry and them. So it's a new game. It's something that I'm not involved in a lot. In the playoffs, we dive in, a couple futures here and there. But as you and I both know, we're chomping at the bit this week as MLB hopefully will get a resolution and the boys will be back.
Well, I'm pretty confident in that. I don't think I think we all knew that this was the week. I'm not sure exactly what day it's going to happen. I don't care what day it happens as long as it happens. And I think that the efforts in which that now you have the actual owners meeting at the table, not just representatives of the owners, that's a big deal. And typically in these things, one owner will take unilateral charge of all the other ones. And be the guy that makes everything happen. And I don't know who that's going to be. I have no idea. But usually that's what happens. And you get a guy in there that says, okay, let's make this happen. Let's get this done. And these guys are owners and multi-billionaires for a reason. They know how to negotiate. They know how to make money. They know how to run businesses. And they don't want to have their businesses not making any money this year and sitting on the sidelines. So, and then have a tainted product. So I think that ideally this is going to get done. And I think all those naysayers that are going on through Mediaville right now ought to be kicked in the shins, because ultimately the reality is going to be is that those spins and everything they put on them is just why I don't pay attention.
I agree. We've said all along. I talked here till I'm blue in the face. We've got a few irons in the fire. Actually, in closed door sessions, lawyers working on this. And March 1st was the day, and this is the week. And neither side wanted to go to spring training on time. You and I both knew that, and so it is what it is. They get this thing wrapped up, and knowing these guys, honestly, it will be Thursday or Friday. They'll extend it out. We know that, and they'll meet next week at spring training, whether it's Tuesday or Wednesday. Maybe get some games in next weekend as it gets closer to. I think the first actual games was the 31st of March, correct?
Yeah, it's something like that. I got it in my phone. Let me pull it up for a second, but I'm pretty sure that's where we are. It's calendar, not calculator, calendar. There we go. Opening day for Major League Baseball is going to be the 31st.
I had booked out through the 1st in Vegas with this going on. I said, you know what? I'll save the JetBlue points. I'll come home on the red eye on the 31st, because usually what we would do is we would extend through that weekend to make it a full 3 weeks out in Vegas for that first weekend of baseball, and that would be the final 4 weekend as well. I'm going to come back home and set up shop and be home for Friday. I land in Boston at 7 a.m. I'll be back in the office by 10 a.m. So I'll have a full. I'll do some work on the plane, but I'll be all set for a full day of MLB action on that Friday. But Today's board, we talked off air, not the greatest board. It's a Monday. I always say to tread lightly. There's a couple games that kind of sort of jump out. Nothing spectacular. There's some early hockey today that we'll go over. But I'm just going to go over the board quickly today, Scott, and go from there. UTEP Middle Tennessee State opened at 5.5 and 5. 56% of the bets, 66% of the money on Middle Tennessee State. It's 5.5 across the Vegas Strip, only 5 at Circa. So overnight, Circa got hit with a little UTEP money. What are you saying?
$3,600 so far in the game. There's only a couple games in double digits right now. 69% of the money is on UTEP, 74% of the tickets on Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, again, I always say here I respect the Circa move, so keep an eye on UTEP plus 5.5. Penn State at Maryland, rotation number 867, 868. The Twerps open up 2.5-point favorites, now 3. I'm showing 66% of the bets, 52% of the money on Penn State.
8,800 on this game, 70% of the money, 50-50 on ticket count to Penn State, though, in terms of money.
Yeah, again, I don't trust Maryland as far as I could throw them. I think the public side will end up being Penn State, but I have no sides here. I just Maryland is a short favorite at home. They never come through. So this one's interesting. A team that has just waved the white flag. They ought to just call a season, but we don't do that here. Louisville travels to North Carolina. Rotation number 869, 870. Carolina opens up at 10, drops down to 9.5. 56% of the bets, 51% of the money on Carolina.
Yeah, $5,400 on this one so far. 70% of the money and 58% of the tickets on North Carolina.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch it with your money. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Carolina won by 30, but again, that line is moving in the other direction with Louisville. They can't put 40 minutes together. They need to end this season as quick as possible and get ready for next year. Rotation number 871, 872, Florida State at Boston College. If we would have looked back to the preseason here, you probably would have thought Florida State would have been 8, 9, 10-point favorites. This team is just struggling so bad. This is a Boston College number, guys. Like I said yesterday with Butler, this is the same thing. This is screaming they want Florida State money, and already it's going in the Boston College favor. Opened at 1.5, now 1. 50% of the bets, 78% of the money on Florida State, yet the lines dropped from 1.5 to 1.
Yeah, $6,600 on the game, 87% of the money, 88% of the tickets on Florida State.
Yeah. Look for the Eagles to win this game, gentlemen. Georgia Tech at Syracuse, 873, 874. Syracuse opened up at 8.5, still at 8.5, yet 61% of the bets, 65% of the money on Syracuse.
Yeah, this one, 4,100 so far, 67% of the money, 74% of the tickets on Syracuse.
One of the better games of the night, Indiana at Ohio State, 875, 876. Ohio State opened at 6.5, went to 6, 80% of the bets, 60% of the money on Indiana.
Yeah, this shows 12,000 on the game. So this is the second highest bet game so far. 54% of the money is on Ohio State and 50% of the tickets split evenly.
I mean, you expect Ohio State on a bounce back, but this Indiana team is railing. They really, really needed that game on Saturday. They laid an egg. Tough game there. Indiana State at the Drake. Drake with a big, big win at Loyola Chicago on Saturday. A good letdown spot. They opened up at 11, still at 11. I don't have any numbers in front of me.
Well, this shows $5,400 bet on the game so far. 97% of the money, 87% of the tickets on Drake.
Yet it hasn't moved. Again, a perfect letdown spot. I'm Indiana State. Larry Bird's not playing. Trust me, guys. But it's a good spot for them there. Illinois of Chicago now at Illinois State. opened at 8.5, still at 8.5. It is 9 at South Point and DraftKings and Caesars. I'm showing 57% of the bets, 66% of the money on Loyola Chicago, who loses on their home court. A loss where a lot of the experts says they're outside looking in now.
Well, I'm showing $6,000 so far bet on the game, and 98% of the money, 80% of the tickets on Loyola.
Yeah, I would expect a big bounce back there. West Virginia at TCU, 885, 886. West Virginia team that get blown out at home to Kansas now travels to TCU. A line that opened up at 3.5, now 4, Scott.
Yeah, $5,400 on the game, 80% of the money, and 85% of the tickets on TCU.
Yeah, it's a number that's going to attract TCU money. I don't know what Bobby Huggins' team will show up. I think the 4 is intriguing there, but they're just Jekyll and Hyde. All right, guys, I'm going to give you the stench of the day. And when I say stench, these two teams are putrid. I mean, horrific putrid. I talked about the correction move yesterday on the show on Northern Kentucky. There was an overnight correction. Our eyes caught it, and Northern Kentucky had a bad first half yesterday, down 8 at half, but rallied the troops and win the game outright. This is the same thing. Eastern Illinois at SIU Edwardsville. This overnight line opened at 11.5. Wake up this morning and it's a flat 8. If you go to Ken Palm and look at these two teams and go into fan match, there is nothing but pink. Pink means loss, 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 loss. I mean, this is as ugly as it gets. I'm going to tell you, keep an eye on Eastern Illinois plus the 8, and you could probably get them plus, I don't know, 190 on the money line here. I'm showing 50% of the bets, 62% of the money coming in on SIU. And Scott, I probably venture to say two things. Either there's no money bet on where you're looking, or there's $1,200 on the game.
There's $995 bet on the game. And 78% of the money is on Eastern Illinois and 60% of the tickets on SIU Edwards.
Eastern Illinois was definitely the play there, for us at least. Baylor at Okie State, a great game, 895, 896. Baylor opened up at 5, still at 5, and receiving 60% of the bets, 82% of the money.
Yeah, this is the number one bet game in college basketball. It's $24,000 so far. 56% of the money, 83% of the tickets on Baylor.
Yeah, this looks like the same exact matchup as the Kansas at West Virginia game on Saturday. Keep an eye on that one. Baylor just is injured and just not playing like they did last year or the start of this year. It's a big number. Okie State's tough at home. I can guarantee you Okie State will be a public trendy dog today. Just keep an eye on Baylor. That's all. Arizona State at UCLA, rotation number 897, 898. Arizona State team that has caught its stride. It's actually winning some games and it's looked pretty good. A UCLA team that's just rolling. This game opened at 15.5 down to 14, 13.5 at Westgate and South Point. 69% of the bets, 75% of the money coming in on Arizona State.
Yeah, $5,700 so far, and 69% of the money, 67% of the tickets on Arizona State.
They'll be a public trendy dog again today. They're playing well. I'm not disrespecting them. It's a big number for a reason. I'm not going to jump in front of this one at all. It is what it is. 899, 900 San Fran at Pacific. San Fran's been real good to us this year. Open up 14-point favorites, now 13, 84% of the bets, 94% of the money on Pacific.
Yeah, this is got $1,000 on it so far, so nobody's really wagering on this game. But 61% of the money and 58% of the tickets are on San Francisco.
We go to the Frozen Pond. Yesterday on the show, I talked about the numbers scream that the Edmonton Oilers winning streak would end, and it did. I think the Wild of Minnesota scored 4 in the first, never looked back. Today's games, there's a couple afternoon games. Colorado travels to Boston, rotation number 17 or 18. Colorado opened up at 170, now minus 181. A Boston team that's coming back home after a road trip, a Boston team that's struggling to score. You put Colorado in front of them, they're expecting a lot of pucks to be scored. And under over that is just stuck on 6. I can tell you from past history, ask my accountant, who's a diehard Bruins fan, you put the Bruins in the spot in a 1 o'clock start in an afternoon game, and they usually lay an egg.
Yeah, this is the heaviest bet game of the day, $34,000 on it so far. And 85% of the money, 83% of the tickets on Colorado, and 71% of the money is on the over.
Yeah, I'm going to go click to another spot in a minute. I'm just going to break down the next game. Carolina at Philly, a Philly team that's a train wreck. Carolina, it's a wagon right now. Opened up minus 210 now, minus 208. 55% of the bets, 94% of the money on Carolina.
Yeah, this has $20,000 on it, and 99% of the money, 94% of the tickets on Carolina.
Winnipeg, Calgary, same thing. 220 now 210 against Calgary. I'm sorry, Winnipeg at Calgary. The same with Toronto at Montreal, a Toronto team that laid an egg on Saturday. A Montreal team that actually won yesterday. Toronto opened up at 280, now minus 354, Scott.
Toronto's game is $17,000 on the game, 99% of the money, and 95% of the tickets on Toronto.
And last but not least, a big overnight movement. Seattle at Vancouver. Vancouver opened up at 180, now 154, 76% of the bets, 97% of the money on Vancouver. There's a pretty big correction and some reverse line movement on the Kraken.
15,000 on this one, 72% of the money, 92% of the tickets on Vancouver.
I wanted to go to the puck lines on these and see if I can see something. On Colorado, if you've taken the puck line minus 1.5, they were getting plus 145, now down to plus 131. So people are betting Colorado minus a goal and a half. They are betting Carolina minus a goal and a half. It opened up at plus 130, now 123. Calgary minus a goal and a half, opened at 110, still 110. This is, again, the kind of sort of a pretty big move. This is an eye opener. Toronto puck line opened up minus 125, now minus 138. Scotty, it reminds me of Yankees at home versus the Rangers, Cole on the mound versus whoever the hell you want to throw. You can't get into the minus 354 and you just squeeze it and you just take Cole minus a run and a half and pray that they're up 6-0 at the end of 8.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's there's a lot of strategy to baseball betting. I just put something out related to that today, but it's you gotta go deep sometimes to figure out how to play the games. And one of the nice things about NHL is that it's similar to baseball betting in a sense that theoretically you're supposed to be betting goalies and not starting pitchers. But it's one of those scenarios that you don't want to play the minus 350s and that kind of stuff. I know people do, and theoretically you're going to win a lot of those. But if you lose that game, it takes so many more games to compensate for what you just lost.
I'll close with this. I talked about when we started 7 years ago. We reached out to our locals at Sports Insights, and we did a lot of conversations with them, and then we brought them on, and we've been using them ever since. And their baseball season, the season before, I've talked about this, they were like 300 wins and 360 losses, and they netted 8.5 units. And we talked at length about betting the dogs and dogs and dogs. The problem with that is how many people's bankroll can withstand 360 or 380 losses and only 300 wins. And that's the volume. That's the quantity versus the quality. But that's chasing a system in dogs.
Yeah, I think it's got to be a mix. And I think that once you set your want you to set your strategy right, you got to play it. So I guess if your strategy is going to be this, is that you're say your strategy for the season is you're going to bet anytime there's a minus 200 pitcher, right? You're going to play the dog. Okay, so you can only expect to have a winning percentage in the 30% range or even lower. And then you got to win enough of those to actually make money. But you're going to need to have a bankroll that substantiates all those losses, unless you get off to a great start and you get several winners right in a row. But the idea is those percentages that we talk about in terms of implied winning percentage on a minus 200, for example, minus 150 is 60%. Minus 200 is much higher. The idea, though, is that if you skip your opportunities, you're starting to mess with your percentages. So if it's not part of your plan at the beginning, it can't really be part of your plan at the end. So I always advise people of this. You're not going to play favorites much over minus 150, and you're not going to play, in my opinion, you shouldn't be looking at dogs in the same neighborhood. You need to be in the mix of the middle. The dogs that are plus 150 or less and the favorites that are minus 150 or less, and be mixing that stuff around based off of value and opportunity and where you see your plays, because ultimately you can be in a bad spot real quick if you're expecting to win, more than say 30% of bets that shouldn't win. And they're that way for a reason.
I agree 100%, and we'll be doing a lot more work as we get this resolution, as you and I start to break down each division. Our goal, again, is to break down each division. We'll talk about potential futures, wins and losses, potential Cy Youngs and home run kings. And, the other thing I want to state here is, again, every person's bankroll is different. Every person's book is different. A lot of times the market allows us now to go in week to week and to dive into some of these futures versus having your money tied up, for 6-7 months. And granted, if you see something you like and you want to grab it now, then go ahead. I'm not telling you not to do that, but in the same token, if you'll get $2,000 limited to your weekly account with your book, and you got $1,000 tied up in baseball futures or basketball futures, and you better ask him for $1,000 or her $1,000 credit extension so you can just leave all your futures there.
Yeah, it's when you talk about baseball betting, there's so many different things, and one of the things I wrote is that when you talk to the common person, they think of baseball as a cerebral game, and it is. It's very much a thinking game, and what to do and what pitches you got to call, and where you're going to position your players and shifts and all the different strategy that goes into scoring and running baseball. But it might actually be the most cerebral game to wager on, because you got to really go deep into figuring out how you're going to get into certain games where you think there's an edge on a pitcher, or you think there's an edge on an offense, or you think there's an edge on a bullpen, or whatever it might be. So you got, and what's great is that the game has so many different types of wager types that you can actually get in on a lot of that stuff. You just have to go beyond what you normally see. And as you're starting to work through some of that stuff, I think that your strategy will start to play itself out, and it will get you to a point in which you can get into a lot of games you didn't think you could get into before.
All right, myself and Scott, we'll be back at 4:30 for the closing bell. Everyone enjoy your day off. If you have today off, everyone, it's a new week. It's a new beginning. It's a new start. It's not the greatest of menus. We highlighted a few games where our eyes are early. Just be careful. It's the last full week of February. As we get closer to March Madness conference championships and the the tournament and hopefully the start of baseball. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, for my co-host, my partner in crime, Mr. Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB, we wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy yourself, invest in with you responsibly. Always remember this: if you do have a problem, pick up the phone. There is an 800 number available. Ask for help. Why? Because myself and Scott care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. Have a day. See you in a few hours. Any questions, come DM us on the Twitter, and we will gladly answer them.